Welcome to the Ministry Pivot Podcast with Russell St. Bernard, a podcast designed to assist leaders as they seize the season of opportunity by pivoting toward it. Let's get started with today's episode.
Hey family, Reverend Russ, thank you for getting on to Ministry Pivot today. Super excited that you decided to join us, whether it be today, tonight, whenever you're getting on. Don't forget to go on to ministrypivot.com and make sure that you check out the articles, check out the other conversations, check out Pivot University, which is coming in the fall. Super excited about that. And of course, don't forget that if you are looking to increase your leadership, looking to increase your development, looking to just increase your position in what God has given you using your strengths. I am doing strength coaching now and super excited about those who have entrusted me with that opportunity in their lives. And we look forward to doing it for you as well. Don't forget that you can click the button on the website that says coach there, and we'll be able to talk about that as well. I wanted to share with you a quick little pivot on today. Thought about this as I was talking. Many of us have leadership opportunities, leadership responsibilities, whether it is at home, whether it's at church, whether it's at work. And the question is, how do you lead your teams effectively? How do you lead your staff effectively? And the truth is, I think more of it should be on the staff than it is on the leader. But there are certain things that I think are definitely key for us to be able to do that I try to exhibit as I lead the staff that I've been in charge to lead, as I am also led by my pastor. Big shout out to Pastor Matthew Watley. Super excited for him and all that he does and all that he allows us to do here at Kingdom Fellowship. But there are a couple things that I wanted to list, really just three things that I wanted to talk about. The first thing is that if you're going to lead your staff effectively, you have to make sure, and I did this a little bit earlier in another pivot, I'll note that in the show notes, but you have to make sure that you lean into their strengths, not your strengths. Now, obviously, I use Gallup, Clifton Strength Finders, and one of the things that is very clear is that you have a top set of strengths and you have a lesser set of strengths. Your lesser set of strengths are not weaknesses. They just aren't things that you use as much. They're not as strong. Mine, I have a number 34 like everyone else, and it is not as strong as my number one because I use that often, but it does not mean that it makes it a bad thing. It also does not mean that somewhere in my top, I don't use some in my top 1 through 10, my top maybe 1 through 14 sometimes. I don't use some of those in a mix of theme dynamics where I use 2 or 3 themes together. It doesn't mean that I don't use some of those in a mix to compensate for the lesser use of my lesser strengths. But the point is that as a leader, as a manager, as a owner, as a CEO, whatever it is, as you lead staff, it's important for you to lean into their strengths, not your strength. Understand that if the staff was supposed to have your strengths and be who you are, then God would have allowed for clones to happen. And God is not allowed for clones to happen. And so these are unique people. They bring their own gifts. They bring their own talents. They bring their own focus. And you are supposed to encourage them in their strengths. And what you have to do is you have to, as a leader, look at their strengths and look at your strength as a puzzle and figure out the places that the missing pieces will fit and the places that the missing pieces will help in order for you to grow, in order for them to grow, but also in order for the organization to grow. So I encourage you as a leader, if you haven't sat down with your staff, with your team, make sure that you are encouraging them in their development. Find out what makes them tick. Find out what their strengths are. Find out what they like to do outside of the project that you're having them work on. That's one of the key things that I think leaders, we just don't do as often as we should, is figure out that people just like you have a life outside of your job, have a life outside of work, have a life outside of church, have a life outside. And if you can understand and see what makes them tick in those areas, it could also be helpful in what makes them tick and how you are serving together and help to fill in the missing pieces of that puzzle. So the first one is to make sure that you lean into their strengths, not yours. The second one is to make sure that as you do that, then you figure out how you can help them to discover and help them to develop a roadmap for their success. Everyone on your team wants to succeed. Nobody wakes up and says, I want to fail today. Nobody wakes up and says, I don't want to do well today. Nobody wakes up and says, I just want to be at the bottom of the barrel. Nobody wakes up and says that. What they do say is that I wish I would have somebody. I wish I would have a manager. I wish I would have a leader. I wish I would have a pastor. I wish I would have an executive team member who would help me, who would talk with me about discovering the things that I'm good at and then working with me. And I'm going to do it because they can't do my work for me. I'm going to do it, and not only discovering what I'm good at, but also developing a plan that will help me move forward to what success looks like for me. Because the truth is, success for all of us will look different. Success for the people in one department will look different than success for the people in another department. And our goal as leaders, our goal as managers, our goal as those who are called to develop people, those who are called to train people, those who are called to lead people, is to help them in their path and on their road to discovery. What does that look like? That can look like you sharing some books with them. That can look like you looking at other models of success and asking them, how does this fare with what they see? Asking them, what do they think with what they see? All of this is tied up into you being invested into your team. And you, to help lead a team effectively, you've got to know that you're leading staff, and staff are people. Staff are focused. Staff aren't just there to do whatever we say, to do whatever the organization needs, but they will do that. But they will do that more aligned if we make sure that we are helping them to discover the things that are making work and making the opportunity easy for them, and then also helping them to develop a roadmap as they go. The last thing I'll say is, not only do we need to make sure that we help to lean into their strengths, not ours. We're not trying to make copies. We need to help them discover and develop a roadmap for their success. But the last thing is, we need, and I should have put empower in here, but I'm going to write it, I'm going to say it how I wrote it. We need to expect expertise. We need to expect expertise. We need to expect them to become experts in their area. I say it to our teams all the time here that what God has called us to do, and I'm saying this in the church context, but if you are wherever you are, I have a person that I'm working with at a bike shop, person I'm working with in other areas, that you should be the expert in that area. You should be the expert in the thing. You should be coaching your staff. You should be coaching your team so that they can work to be the expert in whatever area they're touching. They can work to be the expert in whatever area they're in. Not that they have to be above everybody, not that they're better than anybody else, but you want people to work. You want people to feel ownership as if they are the expert in the field. You know what that does? When you allow them, when you encourage them, when you push them to be experts in their field, one, they're going to love what they do more. Two, they're going to bring ideas and thoughts that you never brought. And three, they're going to make the organization, they're going to make themselves, they're going to make, if you're working in church, they're going to make God known in different ways that they would not do and they would not be able to do if they were just focused on being a cog in a wheel. They were just focused on being a pin that's a part of this small piece. The truth is, you want each area to build upon itself so much so that everyone is an expert, that everyone is focused, that everyone is understanding and knowing that God has called them, that they have been called to do more than just where they are, but they're called to expand what it is that they've been given. So hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully this pivot has been helpful. Hopefully you can look at how you lead your team. Hopefully you can dial into their strengths. Hopefully you can dial into helping discover and develop a path. Hopefully you can dial in to empowering them so that they can become experts in the field that they are currently leading. Thank you again for getting onto this pivot today. This is Reverend Russ, about to sign off now. Don't forget to go on to ministrypivot.com. Don't forget to check out the show notes. Don't forget to follow us on all of our socials. Pivot University is coming. And of course, don't forget, if you want to sign up and be a part of our coaching network and be a part of a thing that will help you grow, help you move further, help you identify the strengths that you have in you, please go on ministrypivot.com. Just click the button that says coach, or you can just email us here and we'll be in contact with you. Looking forward to seeing what God does in your life, and looking forward as this is your season of opportunity. All you have to do is pivot toward it. God bless.
That's it for today's episode of the Ministry Pivot. We hope you enjoyed listening and gaining some valuable insight. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss out on our future episodes. And if today's show has resonated with you, please leave us a review to help others discover our podcast. For more resources and updates, visit our website at ministrypivot.com. And be sure to join our email list, as well as follow us on Instagram at Ministry Pivot. Thanks for joining us today, and we're excited to have you back next time for another insightful episode of Ministry Pivot. Stay connected, keep pivoting. We'll see you soon.